Welcome back from the break. And I know when it's Monday, you expect our usual aerobics. But of course, we are going to do aerobics, just that we are going to do the education part of it. So we are looking at the silent killer and how exercise can help. Reduce the risk or even prevent it at all. I'm not doing this alone. I'm joined by experts in the studio. So to my immediate left, I have Kwesi Sam Aqua. Kwesi Sam Aqua is a sports and exercise scientist, and he also is a fitness coach. Kwesi, welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much.
I hope everything is fine.
Yeah, everything is good.
How do you feel about the new month?
Well, this month is the Ghana month.
Of course.
So I'm expecting new vibes, new energy, and things moving smoothly.
Okay. We trust that. And also joining us in studio, we have Theodora Quagreen, a very pretty lady, joins us in studio this morning. She is a nursing officer at the Jubilee Catholic Hospital in Takrady. Miss Quagreen, welcome.
Thank you so
You're
much.
looking so pretty this morning.
Thank you. You're looking good too.
Oh, thank you. I hope everything is okay.
Yes, please, by God's grace.
Are you also looking forward to something this month?
Of course, I'm looking forward to new beginnings this month.
Okay.
And we pray that everything goes well by God's grace and that God is going to take over everything. So,
yeah, of course, everything is going to go well by God's grace. So, as I said earlier, we are going to have a discussion on how exercise can help reduce or get rid of what we call the silent killer, how exercise can save your hearts, my hearts, and our hearts. So, let's start simple to Ms. Quagreen. What exactly is hypertension and why should we even be concerned about the numbers?
okay. So, hypertension is a chronic medical condition that is characterized by the increase in blood pressure.
Okay.
So, that's when your systolic pressure is greater than or equal to 130 and the diastolic pressure is greater than or equal to 80. When I talk about systolic pressure, it's when the pressure in your arteries, when your heart contracts, that is the systolic pressure.
Okay.
And the diastolic pressure is the pressure in your arteries when the heart relaxes. So you see, when you go to the hospital and they check your blood pressure with the machine, you realize that the first number, when they check it, the first number is the systolic and the last number is the diastolic. So normal blood pressure should be between the ranges of, for the systolic, should be between the ranges of 90 to 120.
Okay.
And then diastolic should be between the ranges of 60 to 80. So anything that goes above that is called hypertension. Yes, please.
Interesting. I would want to know, why then do we call it a silent killer? Because I believe there are lots of sickness or diseases that exist that can kill human beings. But why is this particular one tagged as the silent killer?
Okay, so it's tagged as the silent killer because when someone is experiencing hypertension, there's no signs and symptoms at the early stages, okay, until it has become complicated before you get to know that this thing is really taking place. And most people do not go to the hospitals for regular checkups. At least an adult is supposed to go to the hospital like twice a year for regular checkups. So if you do not check your pressure, you would not know that you have hypertension because it doesn't really show the signs and symptoms at the early stage till it has gone to the complicated stage. So in the complicated stage, like the heart diseases and the kidney problems and then the eye diseases, that is when you get to know that you have hypertension.
So it's that kind of stubborn
Yes.
sickness that
Yes.
creeps in slowly,
Yes,
and
it
before you
creeps in.
realize it has done a negative,
A lot of
bad
damage
job,
to the
on you.
organs.
Interesting. I was enlightened that most of the causes of hypertension are lifestyle related.
Yes,
So
please.
it's something we adapt or we do on a daily basis that
Yes,
culminates into something like that.
Yes, please.
What kind of lifestyle, can make us get hypertension, and which ones can we even manage ourselves just so we do not
Okay.
get there?
All right. So I'll take the first one. That is nutrition management. So what we have to do is that I realize that most people take in high sodium intake. And when I say sodium intake, I mean salt. Okay. So the normal or the average salt we have to take as an adult in a day is just 1 teaspoon of salt in a day. But what do we see? People go to the restaurant.
1 teaspoon.
Yes, 1 teaspoon of salt. So throughout the day, you have to just take in 1 teaspoon of salt.
For breakfast, after lunch,
Yes,
combined.
yes, 1
Wow.
teaspoon during the day.
How are you being able to measure? Because we eat, a lot of things on a daily.
Yes, so I think this is where we also have to. There's a need for us to keep on preparing our own foods and stop eating outside. Because if you prepare your own food, you'll be able to
Measure.
know the amount of
Yeah.
salt to use within the day.
Okay.
And then you see people go out to restaurants and then they eat fufu with live soup, and you hear someone say, "Oh, I want extra salt." Meanwhile, there's salt already in the soup.
Already.
Yeah, so most of the food we eat, affects us because even with the salt intake, we have to balance it with potassium diet. That's the bananas, the beans, the potatoes. We have to be balancing our salt with the potassium. But you don't really see that nowadays because most of us keep on buying food from outside. And we don't even know what people use to prepare the food. You hear Maggi and all that. It doesn't really help our kidneys. It doesn't help the heart at all. They cause hypertension. So that's the first one I'll talk about.
Beyond the salt intake, what then can also contribute? What other lifestyle can?
Okay, so we have the sedentary lifestyle.
Okay.
It's characterized by prolonged sitting and little or no physical activity. So when someone sits for a long time, we see that in our offices today. Okay, people sit for a long time, and when it's even break time, they do not get up to exercise. They do not get up to do anything. They just sit down to make sure that they meet with the requirements that the job has for them. So I would advise that as we go to the workplace, we should exercise a bit. When it's break time, you can stand up, walk for a few minutes, and then come back to sit down. Because the more you sit for a long time, there's stiffening of the blood vessels, which leads to constriction of the blood vessels. So the heart has to pump more blood to that side of the body. So I would encourage people to exercise.
Exercise.
Yes,
so as you manage the intake of sodium and then potassium as well, then making sure you are taking care or you are getting that sedentary life checked. You are also looking at your weight gain, alcohol, smoking, and chronic stress and all of that. But I like the emphasis on exercise. I think that's where Kwesi will come in.
Yeah.
What then happens to the body when someone with hypertension starts exercising?
Okay, thank you very much. So,
but sorry, before that, can we look at even what kind of exercises are we looking at?
Okay, so with exercises to do as hypertensive patients, we normally use the recommended guidelines by ACS, and that is American College of Sport Medicine. They play a major role in giving us data on health, fitness, and lifestyle. So with that, we have aerobic exercises, we have resistance training, flexibility training as well. And all of these are guided by the FIT principle.
Okay.
So for aerobic exercises, we have the frequency, and the recommendation is that if you have hypertension, you should be doing aerobic exercises for at least 5 days in a week.
Okay.
At least 5 days in a week.
5 days in a week?
Yes.
For how many minutes in a day?
So the minute is from 30 minutes to an hour in a day, and then it should accumulate to 150 minutes to 300 minutes per week.
Okay, so there are 5 times in a week, or should it be successive, or I can decide to do Monday, then I'll not do on Tuesday, then I'll do Wednesday, Thursday?
So that one, you can do it continuous. It's 5 days. So I think we have 7 days in a week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you can do Monday, Tuesday, you rest on Wednesday, you do Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you rest on Sunday.
Okay. How about if I want to go all out, like do all 7? Is that allowed too?
You can, because the recommendation is that at least 5 days. So it means that you can do more for aerobic exercise.
Okay.
Yes, you can do more. And the intensity should be moderate.
Okay.
Not too easy, not too hard.
Okay.
Yes. So, like I was saying, the exercises can include walking, brisk walking, cycling, swimming.
Okay.
And then for resistance training, then we are saying that it's 2 to 3 days in a week. So you can do Monday, you rest on Tuesday, you go Wednesday, you rest on Thursday, you do Friday for resistance training. Resistance training involves weightlifting, using resistance bands, using free weight, using machine weight, all of these. You can even use your normal body weight
Okay.
to exercise. Squatting, push-ups, all of these can help improve your insulin resistance, which is a major contribution to hypertension.
So when you do all of this, what does it does it I mean, for someone who has hypertension, do you all of a sudden get out of it, or it's just how does it play out?
So exercise has its own way to affect the human body as far as hypertension is concerned, right? So the first one is exercise helps with endothelial function. So an endothelium is a thin layer of cell that line within the blood vessel, right? And its function is to help in the vasodilation and vasoconstriction. The endothelial cells also produce a substance called nitric oxide. And nitric oxide helps in the free flow of blood within the vessels. So the endothelium is very important. The exercise helps in the function or the effective or efficient function of this particular cell lining within the blood vessel. Another benefit we can also talk about is autonomic response. Exercise helps in improving the parasympathetic nervous system, and then rather reducing the sympathetic nervous system. So the sympathetic nervous system is the human body's sort of alarm mode. Okay. So for example, if somebody has a fear of snakes, and then the person sees snakes right now, what happens is that heart rate will go up, blood pressure will increase, cardiac output will increase. The brain puts the person on alert of the threat in front of him or her. So that is the alarm, but that's the sympathetic nervous system. So the parasympathetic nervous system is the opposite. The body's calm mode. So there is release of oxytocin, endorphins. These are hormones that calm your nerves down. Instead of cortisol or adrenaline increasing your stress levels. So the sympathetic exercise helps in improving the parasympathetic nervous system, and then rather reduce the sympathetic nervous system.
So in doing all of this, how then are you able to measure your progress? Because we've had a lot of instances where people are saying they exercise, but they are not seeing probably the physical results or all of that. Are you able to measure your progress, or how long should you even continue to do this before you see some significant changes?
Yeah, so the most important thing is that you start slow.
Start slow.
You start slow. And even with that, there's a lot of things you have to actually do before you even get into the program. If you want to work your way around it, you might even get into trouble. I remember, I think last 2 weeks, somebody came to the gym and apparently he was having high blood pressure. He just went straight to the treadmill, was running, and then later they called me that he's feeling dizzy. It's like he wants to collapse and all of that. Then we later found out that he had hypertension. So it's a matter of having somebody to guide you. Start slow. If you have a professional to guide you, the person will be taking notes of your progress. The person will know where we should start.
Is it everyone that can afford a professional? Is there not a way for people who cannot afford professionals to, keep track of their own progress or how they are even faring?
There is a way. I think this time we have smart watches that can help us, record our heart rate, check calorie burn and all of that. Yes. But in cases where the person is on medication, heart rate will not be cannot help us. For example, if the person is using beta blockers as medication, beta blockers helps to calm down the heart rate. So if you are using beta blockers, and even with a trainer, right, the trainer has to have that information that you are using beta blockers, so we cannot use heart rate monitors to check your progress, because we'll be getting conflicting results. You might think that, okay, the person is having a normal heart rate. Meanwhile, it's because of the medication. Then you give a higher exercise intensity and it will cause trouble. So instead of using heart rate monitors, when the person is on that particular medication, you rather can use rate of perceived exertion. So whilst the person is exercising, how are you feeling? How is your body responding to the exercise?
Okay.
That way is more safer when the person is on medication.
Okay.
And another medication like diuretics, they bring out water from the system. So if the person is exercising in extreme heat conditions, you can lead the person to dehydration. So it's best that we actually have information on the condition, if there is any medication, we also have to. That's why I said that it all has to do with getting to know the person in the first place. You go to the hospital, the doctor has to clear you that you are safe to join the program.
Yeah, I'm sure that's where our nursing officer will come in, Miss Kedrin. So when you give out these prescriptions and drugs to patients, especially those who have hypertension, do you tell them, or are they exclusive people that cannot necessarily do any form of exercise, or they are, some milder ones they can engage in?
Okay, so there are normal range of motion exercises that people can partake in, especially the adults, just as I was saying earlier. So as you'd want to also go to the gym, it's better to alert your gym instructor about the kind of medications you are on, and then the doctor's report or your health
So it looks like
status.
it's not negotiable. You should have.
Yes, please. You should have.
Okay. Sorry, then.
Okay, so I would also like to encourage that it's a really big disease that is really going on in the world, and about 1.3 million people are being affected by hypertension, and it's not just
1.3 million.
Yes, please.
Why, like
globally?
Okay.
Yes, they are being affected by hypertension, and then it's not just about the oldest. You see, I first used to think that hypertension is for old men and women, but now, like globally, 25 to 30% of adults also suffer from hypertension due to stress overload, work overload, and our lifestyle. So let's all try our best to exercise, eat well, watch our diet, and then relax when the time comes.
Yeah, I think you mentioned someone came to the gym in the process, got a bit dizzy and all of that. So are there some warning signs individuals who have hypertension who still want to exercise should look out for in the event where they still want to engage in that?
So whilst you're exercising, there are some things that you should actually avoid. And number one is using Valsalva maneuver.
What's
So
Valsalva?
Valsalva maneuver is a technique that we use in lifting, especially with heavy weight. And that is by compressing your abdominal walls, trapping pressure within it.
Okay.
So that will help you to lift heavy.
Yeah.
But for
Like sort
somebody,
of fold it into this. Okay.
but for somebody who is already having elevated pressure, you cannot use that because you're actually going to go overboard. So it's best that if you are having that kind of condition, you avoid using Valsalva maneuver. You breathe out when you are contracting your muscles. You breathe in when you are relaxed. So it's best that you avoid Valsalva maneuver. And then one thing we can also do is to, like I said, start slow, seek support, track your progress, and always know that whatever you are doing, you take your time. You don't rush into things. You don't involve yourself in things that will bring trouble at the end of the day. So make sure that whatever you are doing it in such a way that you are progressing slowly.
Okay.
Slowly. So it's very important. I already mentioned the climate that you're working out in. If it is in extreme heat, make sure you have a lot of water around. Keep hydrated.
Okay, that's very interesting. So it means exercise is non-negotiable if you have hypertension. Because, people say they are on medications, and what exercise again? Does it work hand in hand, or like how does it
So evidence consistently prove that exercise can reduce blood pressure, especially with the systolic blood pressure, by 5 to 7 millimole per mercury, and with diastolic pressure, 3 to 5 millimole per mercury. And this reduction in the pressure is comparable to first-line pharmacological intervention.
I see.
So whether you are taking, so the thing is that you take medication. If you pick one group, they take hypertension medication. Another group is just doing exercise without education. The results they found was the same thing.
Okay.
The results in the group that did exercise was similar to those that were taking medication. So exercise is not medicine. Exercise is medicine. It's not just claims, but there are statistical evidences that is backing it.
Okay, that's interesting. So, if someone is at home and they would want, because we keep saying exercise, exercise, and I heard you say there's one that if you try to contract, you're not supposed to do it. Can you leave us with something practical? Not anything. If you can, just a brief demonstration of even what kind of exercise. I know we don't have the equipment and all of those things here.
Okay, so I think my colleague earlier mentioned that even if you are too busy, you can just, during your lunch breaks, you can just walk around a little bit. You can, if you are going to work, park your car a little far away from the workplace. Get down, walk to your work. Instead of using the elevator, use the stairs. Something, little movements that would fill in the gap if you are very, very much busy to actually set time apart to maybe go to the gym or something. You can also involve yourself in relevant traditional activities like maybe traditional dance and all of that. Play some music in your room, move your body around. All of these things help. Some people too, they cannot do on their own. They need assistance. They need group, something to motivate them to do it. You can also find a colleague. Oh, Charlie, if it is dance, let's dance together. If it is walk, we just walk together. So
that's
some
more
of these
like
things
an accountability partner.
Exactly.
Okay, so we want to wrap up, but Ms. Craig, we want to look at, so what's the end goal of all of this? Are we able to avoid it in general, or it just helps to minimize it?
Okay, so just as I said earlier, when we look at the risk factors, there are some things that can be avoided and some that cannot be avoided. So you see, for example, when it deals with the gene, when your mother or your father has it, it cannot be avoided. There's a high chance that you're going to get it. But with the activities and your nutrition, it can be managed. So I would encourage all the youth and everybody out there to visit the hospital at least twice in a year to get checked up to prevent hypertension from crawling into their bodies.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I want to get your concluding remarks. What action plan should someone watching you this morning work with?
Right. So I think that now we are all informed that exercise is one of the preventive care strategies that we can all employ, through our daily routines in order to prevent not just hypertension, but so many metabolic diseases that are on the rise in this time that technology has really, really advanced. And so I would encourage all of us to find time, just psych your mind to be active. Start slow. If you need support, find one. Health is wealth, right? Yes, so you have to invest your wealth in your health.
Exactly.
So if it is necessary to pay for a trainer to help you or a professional to help you, do so. It is for your own good. It is cost effective. So let's do that. Let's also try and get feedback. I believe that the professionals all around, we are all involved, not just the sports scientists, not just the nursing officers. All the professions in the health sector, we are all involved in this issue. So it's a matter of all of us coming together to fight it and make sure that it's go down to, if possible, zero records.
Ms. Kerry, you may want to share your final submissions with us then we can wrap up.
Okay, so as we continue our daily living, let's all remember to exercise, because exercise is a very important factor. And then we should also watch our diet. Just as I also said earlier, we should visit the hospital regularly, and then everything is going to be fine.
Okay, thank you so much. So we've had a discussion on the silent killer and how exercise can help protect our heart, primarily hypertension. which most of us know to be as the silent killer. I did this with Kwesisam Aqua, who is a sports and exercise scientist and also a fitness coach, and as well as Theodora Quagrin. She is a nursing officer at the Jubilee Catholic Hospital. Thank you so much for enlightening all of us on how we can protect our heart family, because, the moment the heart stops beating, what then becomes of us? Thank you so much. So we go for a quick break, and when we come, we'll do all the sports updates, both on the local and international front. Please stay with us.
GBC Client Service.
Hello, thank you for calling.
GBC provides you the platform to amplify your brand reach. When you advertise on our 7 TV channels
and 18 regional and district radio stations across the country,
please reach our sales department at sales@gbcghanaonline.com and telephone numbers 03